The following is an article from the Reformed Presbyterian Volume 2 published in August of 1838 entitled Ecclesiastical Proceedings. The Western Presbytery of the Western Subsynod of the Reformed Presbyterian Church held its semi-annual meeting at Bloomington, Indiana on the 4th and 5th of June. Much interesting business was done, and the greatest harmony prevailed. On no question did a dissenting vote occur. From Mr. J.I. McClurkin, a student of the first year, under care of Presbytery, Pieces of Trial, a lecture from Romans 8, verses 1 and 4, and a sermon from 1 John 5, 7 were received. Also an examination on Greek and Hebrew, all highly satisfactory and creditable to the young man. Many and pressing calls were made upon Presbytery for supply of gospel ordinances, to all of which it was found impossible to attend in proportion to the wants of the vacancies and scattered societies and families within its geographical bounds. With a view to meet the exigencies of the Church in the West, the following preamble and resolutions were passed. Whereas the head of the Church has commanded to go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature, and to say among the heathen, Thy God reigneth. And whereas the Church is the proper missionary society appointed by her head to send the bread of life to the perishing, and whereas there is in the bounds of this presbytery an extensive field which should be cultivated, a field containing many of our communions scattered up and down through the far west and north, like lost sheep, like dew among the nations, yet anxiously desiring to be gathered again into the fold of the Church organic, to enjoy the dispensation of gospel ordinances, and whereas sending them supplies would be the means of lengthening the cords of our Zion and planting the standard of Messiah among the heathen upon a scriptural plan, therefore resolve, number 1, that this presbytery have a missionary fund, number 2, that a treasurer be appointed who shall receive and appropriate all monies according to the direction of presbytery, number 3, that all the people under our care, be required to contribute to the missionary fund as the Lord may prosper them. Number 4, that our ministers and ruling elders lay this subject before the people under our care. Number 5, that this presbytery in its presbyterial reports to general and sub-synods petition for ministerial aid. Number 6, that the presbytery account with all who may be sent as supplies by presbyterial authority at a certain rate per day. Number 7, that all monies contributed to the missionary fund be transmitted to the presbytery at its semi-annual meetings by ministers or elders or directly to the treasurer. Number 8, that it be recommended to all the people under our care to solicit on all favorable opportunities aid from friends who may be disposed to favor our cause. In order to enter immediately upon the plan contemplated in the above resolutions, it was resolved that J.B. Johnston be appointed treasurer for Presbytery Missionary Fund. Resolved also that the members present pledge themselves for the amount they would pay to the missionaries' fund the ensuing year. $80 were pledged. It was resolved that missionaries report all monies received by them for supplies and account with Presbytery. The following resolutions in relation to slavery were passed. Number 1, that slavery is a sin of the highest magnitude, and like every other sin should be broken off immediately. Number 2, that this sin rests chiefly on the churches, whether either refuse to make it a term of communion, or to condemn it in public, to condemn it in principle and practice, or to give it a prominent place in their public administration. And number 3, that all attempts by slaveholding churches to spread the gospel abroad among the heathen, or to inculcate its maxims at home, are grossly inconsistent and hypocritical, are calculated to foster infidelity, close the door of access to the heathen world, bring reproach upon the cause of Christ, quench the Holy Spirit, retard the wheels of reformation, and roll back the dawn of the millennial day. Number 4, that the conduct of those who admit slavery to be a great sin, while they attempt to vindicate it from God's Bible, furnishes the infidel with a most powerful argument against divine truth, and renders Christianity the scorn of the scoffer. Number 5, that every professed Christian is guilty before his God and his fellow man, who does not open his mouth for the dumb and pray for the temporal and spiritual deliverance of the downtrodden slave. Number 6, that every apology for the slaveholder rivets faster the chains of the slave and involves the apologist in the sin of slavery. Number 7, that all under our care be exhorted to give the subject of slavery a prominent place in their contendings against the sin of the age and land in which we live, and to consider the doctrines of our church on this head as forming an important part of the present truth and testimony of the 2 witnesses, Revelation 2, verse 3. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days. clothed in sackcloth. In Revelation 12:11, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Sessions were directed to furnish statistical tables and forward the same to next meeting of Presbytery. Criticisms and amendments were made on overtures from General Synod. Reverend Messrs. J. Ferris, J.B. Johnston, A. McFarland, and S. McKinney, with James Sloat, Peter Kirkpatrick, Robert Stormont, and Samuel Little, ruling elders, were appointed delegates to next meeting of General Synod. Resolved that extracts from the minutes be sent to the Reformed Presbyterian for publication. Adjourned to meet Monday, 10th September, next at Utica at 10 o'clock a.m. A. McFarland, Presbytery Clerk.